everyone, and welcome to our first Monday class. And as I shared with you in class on Wednesday of last week, that this would be my regular practice, just so that you can kind of have a normal week and you're not getting 2 days of instruction in a row on Wednesday and Thursday. So every Monday there will be a video posted. It could be 2 videos if it's on 2 lessons. This week it's just on 1 as we kind of get started with this. But it will be posted by lesson, so it won't be just a clump of videos. Any documents that we're going to use, any quiz that we're going to take. Some of the quizzes might be on Sycamore on the quiz option, and so it might just be a computer thing that you do. Some of them might be a quiz that you take at home and bring in. This Wednesday there will be a vocabulary quiz. I've already made it up, and if you know the terms that we did in 1.1 to 1.3, you should be just fine on that quiz. So just a reminder, hopefully you've already printed out your nice little HAS. It looks something like this. This is the HAS for this week. And on Monday it says, please watch the pre-recorded video on lesson 1.4, which if you are watching this, you're at the right place. Then the other thing that you get to do is if you flip to page 21 in your book, I mentioned that we would be doing this little intersection activity because I think it's helpful to see the intersections as 3 dimensions. And so here we have like my fingers, my hands intersecting, and that's kind of what you're going to be doing, and it's just with a couple of index cards. So you should already have a nice big pile of index cards. And so you're just going to grab a couple of those and complete this exercise. But you do need to bring it in. I want to see it. You will get a grade for doing that exercise. So make sure it comes in. Now, one of the things that I'm asking my other classes to do, and I think would be really helpful for this class, is that I'm asking my classes to, and I don't think I have one in front of me, I used it for my other videos, to just bring in a pocket folder for the homework. I think it will be easier to collect and easier for me to keep everything straight. So a pocket folder that indicates, actually you don't even need to write anything in this pocket folder. I had the other kids write grammar and writing. But for your pocket folder, I just want all of the homework that you've done. So last week we met on Wednesday. You did homework on Thursday and Friday. And then you're going to watch this lesson and you're going to do homework for Tuesday. So that's 3 different assignments. So there's a couple of things that I want to make sure you do. And so on each assignment, when you do the heading and you put your name and the date, you must write the page number. That is important, the page number, because I have people that are helping me with my grading. I have 5 classes that I'm teaching this year, and I've got some wonderful people that are helping. But if they don't know the page number, then it's going to be hard for them to know where to go in the book and grade. So you're putting your name, date, and the page number for me. Don't write the lesson number, write the page number. I will tell you, if you don't put that page number on there, you're going to get a point off. That's how important it is to me that you have those page numbers. I don't like to go searching. There's 15 of you. Again, I have 5 classes. I don't want to go searching for every homework assignment. So you are going to put all of that information on there, and then you're going to put it in your folder. And I don't care what order it is, but every assignment needs to be on a different sheet of paper. So Thursday's assignment should be on its own sheet of paper. Friday's assignment, its own sheet of paper. And Tuesday's assignment, its own sheet. I know sometimes when you're doing it, sometimes people like to sit and do them all together at the same time, which is fine. Just make sure there's different sheets of paper. Yes, you can use graph paper to do your homework or plain paper, but also please stay on the front side for each. So if you're doing Thursday's assignment, you can use front and back, but don't put Friday's assignment on the back, if that makes sense. So every day should have its own sheet of paper, if that makes sense. We can talk about it. You can ask me if you have that question still in class. You can ask me. So normally on these videos, I will start with some sort of little warm-up quiz, couple problems on the board. I have this great little, let me see if I can get it to show. I have this great little wall chalk thing here. So I may have the video like open up to that and have some problems written over there for you to start with. Today, again, because it's just getting started, I want to keep the video just pretty much on task with what we're going to, the subject matter that we're doing. Just a couple of points. We are very quickly going to move into using the protractor and the compass. Please make sure you bring those to class in your pencil box. Also a ruler. I have talked to you before. If you had me for Algebra 1, you know how much I like to have a ruler. I have my trusty little ruler here. I've also got some trusty little rulers and tools at school for geometry. So make sure you've always got that. You do not have to have one of these full length guys in class with you. Even just the straight edge of the protractor would be fine. So we will be using those for angle measurements and to measure lines, but very quickly we're moving into, I believe 1.5 is measuring. So we will need those items. So today what we're talking about is intersecting or sketching intersections, understanding intersections. And if you will please turn to page 22. In your book, there are more postulates that you need to write. Now, just a note about your index cards. I will be checking those periodically for quiz grades. And if you don't have those index cards up to date, then you won't get the points for that quiz grade. So what I would really like, and I also make index cards, and I will have mine with me in class next Wednesday, but I have index cards, and then I also kind of keep them in categories. So postulates, I think I've talked about this, postulates in one category, definitions in another. And these are items that you can use on a quiz or a test. I want you to take the time to write them, to understand them, to know them, put examples of them on the card. There might be times where I say, nope, put your index cards away. But this vocabulary quiz on Wednesday in class will allow you to use these index cards. So it might behoove you to get caught up on them. So anytime there is a blue, let me just highlight this on the book to make sure you know what I'm talking about. The blue. Anytime there's those little blue boxes, and hopefully you can see what I'm pointing at, but there are these little boxes that pop up pretty often, and sometimes they're postulates, and sometimes they're just definitions. So there's even some definitions on, let me see if I can find the page number, on page 16. That you should understand. Line, segment, and ray. What are those words? What do they mean? And put those on an index card. The most successful geometry students are students that have their tools and have their index cards. It helps when we get to, you know, how we looked at puzzles and trying to logically think through things. Well, as we start trying to prove different geometry concepts, it will be helpful to be able to flip back through our index cards and say, oh, we can use that rule. And that's going to help us prove this. So make sure you keep up with those. You've been warned. All right, let's take a look at the intersections. And we have postulate 3. I'm always going to read these out loud, which says if two lines intersect, then their intersection is a point. Now, if we are out, let me erase this. If we go out, I know some of you might be getting close to driving. That's probably scary. But if we go out and go down Main Street, and let's just assume that you are driving, and maybe you're doing your practice driving, which is kind of scary. Ugh. You're driving down Main Street, and all of a sudden, you're going to cross Fulton Avenue, which is the avenue that the church is on. And you know that that's called an intersection. And probably there's a nice little stop sign here. Let's see if I can draw my nice little stop sign. And it tells us to stop. I know it's kind of small, but it tells us to stop right there. That point, when they come together, is called a point, and it's just called an intersection. Now, we have intersections all the time. When we build a house, and we have this wall that's coming down the middle of the house, and other walls that are cutting across it to make rooms, there are points. So intersections are all over the place in our lives. And you could probably look around your room right now, wherever you are, and see points at which the ceiling comes in contact with the wall. And so those are intersections. Postulate 4, if two planes intersect, then their intersection is a line. And that makes sense because remember my hand is one index card, here's the other index card. And so if let's make it come like this, I've got, this is like the wall coming across, and it's hitting the ceiling. But you can see my fingers make a line. So there's a line here. And when you create your little index card intersection, you're going to see that there's a whole line. So remember, if two lines intersect, there's a point. If two planes intersect, there's a line. So those are the two of the postulates that you need to know. Now, this is probably pretty simple, and you're thinking, oh, Mrs. Jernigan, I'm so bored. That's okay. We'll just keep this short and sweet for today. So I want us to look at example number 1 on page 23. It's helpful if you have that in front of you. And it says to use the diagram. You're going to have some homework that's similar to this, but it says to use the diagram at the right. And it wants you to name intersections. So name the intersection of AC and BE. Now, I want to point out a couple things here, that when you are naming a line, you take 2 points in the line, and that's how you create its name. So we see that top line has A and C. We're going to call it AC. And the one the one that cuts down through it is called BE. So we have AC and BE comes cutting right through AC. And we want to know, where does that intersect? Well, it intersects at B. It shows us that point. The next one, name the intersection of BE and DF. The line below is DF. BE also comes cutting through that. And where it intersects is E. Then they might ask you to name an intersection of two other lines, and in this case they want AC and DF. But the answer is that there's no apparent intersection there. And the reason for that is that those lines appear to be running parallel. And if two lines run parallel to each other, they will never intersect, and they will never meet up anywhere in eternity. So those two lines, you would just say there is no answer. They do not intersect. Now, if you look at the example number 2 on page 23, it says name the intersection of planes S and R. Now, remember we talked about planes. You would see in one of the corners a bold letter, and that's the name of that plane. So it says name the intersection of S and R. So we look for those planes. Our plane names are S, R, and T. Well, S and R intersect, and they want to know what line, and that's going to be a small little letter, like a lowercase letter. And where they intersect is K, the line K. Then it says name the intersection of planes R and T. And if we're looking at that, we should recognize that they are parallel. So there's no intersection for them. And then finally, it wants to know the intersection of T and S. And T and S also intersect at line, but on line L. Now I want you to take a minute and pause the video, and I want you to complete checkpoints 1 through 6. So you're going to pause those, You're going to write them on your paper. I definitely want you taking notes. And then we will come back. You can unpause, and then I will tell you what the answers are. So take a minute and pause and write the answers for 1 to 6. And if you have a whiteboard, you could write them on those. This is not something you have to turn in, but I do want you to look at them and know what the answers are. So hit pause. All right, if you are back, then you hopefully have all 6. And if you have all 6, I want you to hold them up in front of the computer so that I can see them. Haha, I just tricked you because I can't see whatever you put up in front of your computer because you're watching a pre-recorded video. But anyway, for number 1, if you looked at PS and QR, then you would know that they intersect at R. Make sure you have that right. Then number 2, name the intersection of TV and QU. So TV is running one way and QU is running the other, and they intersect at U. Finally, number 3 says name the intersection of PS and UV. So we have PS, which is really long, and then UV is actually a small segment in that second line, but they're parallel, so they do not intersect. All right, then we look at these 2 plane intersections. It says name the intersections of plane X and Y. And the line P, remember this lowercase letter, that's what you're looking for. Next, name the intersection of planes Y and Z, and that one is going to be line Q. And finally, they want us to name the intersections of planes Z and X, and those are going to be parallel. They're like parallel walls in your house, and they're never going to intersect. Okay, there are a couple of other, there's on the back of that, or page 24, there is a example 3 and 4. And I want you to take a look at those, and then I want you to go back and do that exercise on page 21 and bring that to class. And that is all we're doing for today's lesson. And then your homework is to, just grab the has here. The homework is to, for tomorrow, you're writing postulate 3 and 4 on index cards, and make sure you have your index cards neatly together and in your backpack. And then you're doing problems 25 and 26, or excuse me, pages 25 and 26, 10 to 27 all, and page 27, 47 to 54 all. Now, the second piece is probably an algebra review. So we will be doing an algebra review all year. Now, you're welcome to go ahead and do all of this today. I don't really care when you do the homework. I try to space it out so that you have some Monday, because remember we normally do Monday night homework, but some Monday, some Tuesday, then some Thursday and Friday. If you have questions, please feel free to email me. Also, if you're struggling with any of the concepts this week, then definitely plan to jump in on the meetup on Thursday, because remember, you'll have a video class on Monday, live class on Wednesday, and then a teacher meetup on Wednesdays if you would like to do that. It will not be mandatory this week. It will just be a help session. I'll have office hours for that whole entire time, so feel free to jump on at any time and get any questions answered that you might have. So the has does indicate that there is a vocabulary quiz and that you may use your index cards. So be ready for that, and I will plan to see you on Wednesday in class.